Trinidad HOPS. This is a classic traditional bread that can be found in all corners of Trinidad and Tobago. Today we're going to show you how to make this classic and serve it up with traditional ham and chow chow for Christmas. Right, so before you start mixing, a good tip is to have all the ingredients at room temperature unless stated otherwise. So in this instance, all my ingredients except for my water is at room temperature. My water is at lukewarm. This will help activate the yeast a little faster. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I already sifted my flour. So what I want to do to this is go ahead and just add my brown sugar and salt. And I want to add this in and mix it in before I add the yeast, as direct contact with salt sometimes kills the yeast. So I'm just going to use my fingers and mix in the salt and sugar just to help evenly incorporate it into the flour. Right, once done, just go ahead and add in my yeast and repeat the process. Just evenly incorporate it using your hands. Of course, if you have a small stand mixer, you could use that as well, but I mean, this is just 4 cups of flour, so for me this is nothing to do with my hand. Right, so once all your dry ingredients are evenly incorporated, I like to just make a well in the middle, add your water. Now, I'm not going to add all my water. I'll probably add about 80% of my water, because you could always add, but it's a lot more difficult when your dough is too soft and sticky and you have to be adding flour to get it to that right consistency. So I'm just using my index finger here just to slowly incorporate the flour mixture into the water. And what I want to do is I'm basically hydrating my flour mixture. As pieces or as some of the flour mixture gets hydrated, I'm just going to pull it to the side to separate it from the dried flour mixture. Pulling it to the side like this. Keep all my dry mixture on this side here. Seeing some clumps, remove any little clumps. And then I'll just continue by adding more water. This is a simple way to avoid adding too much water. Yeah, so you just continue to hydrate your flour mixture. Once hydrating, a simple way, once it's sticking together, just pull to the side. And your remaining dry mixture, just add your water, mix that in. Once most of your mixture has been hydrated, you could go ahead and start to knead. And I am kneading and also trying to clean my bowl at the same time. So basically what I'm doing here is taking the dough, folding it over in itself and pushing it out, rotating 90 degrees. Fold, push, rotate. Fold, push, rotate. Fold, push, rotate. Fold, push, rotate. Yeah, I could even flip it over just to make sure I get all the dry ingredients. I'm just repeating that process, and I could use the dough itself to clean the bowl. You ever watch your grandmother make any type of bread or bake, and when she done the whole bowl clean? That's what you want to do here. You want to work smart. So you use your dough to wipe your bowl and clean it. So you're just continuing to fold over, push out, rotate until it forms into a rough ball of dough. Right, and from here I'm going to take it out of the bowl and transfer it onto the counter. I mean, if you want to continue to mix it in the bowl, that's fine. I just tend to prefer mixing it out on the counter. Just removing some of the lumps from my hand. And I'm just going to use both hands, and I'm repeating the same exact process. Fold over, push out, rotate. Fold over, push out, rotate. So you just want to do this for about 5 to 8 minutes. And what I'm doing here, I'm just collecting all the dry pieces of dough that would have remained on the counter. Yeah, so you just want to do this for about 5 to 8 minutes until a smooth ball of dough forms. You're not applying too much pressure, not pushing down on the dough. I'm just pushing it out, not applying too much pressure. Now what I'm doing here too, I'm checking it to see if it's too wet. So as you can see, it's not sticking to the counter, it's not sticking to my hand. So those are simple ways to tell you that the dough is not too wet. It's also not too dry, because you would have seen it cracking up. And here's a real easy, convenient tip to add water. If, like, for instance, if the dough is at this stage and you want to add water, to my left here, you'll see I have this convenient spray bottle. Right, so what you could do, so let's say, for instance, this was still a bit too dry for me. Instead of transferring it back into a bowl and adding X amount of water and getting it to a sticky phase and then slowly having to work it back in, which could result in overworking the dough, what I'll do is I'll just slightly spray a little bit on it and work that in. And then once you could feel your dough dry to the touch, you could just spray a little more and you work that in. Now I'm also going to show you how else I utilize the spray bottle when making hops a little later when the hops is in the oven. But this is a simple, convenient, very clean way of adding moisture to your ball of dough. So as you can see here, my dough is more or less into a smooth, consistent ball of dough. I don't want to over mix it, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be allowing the hops bread to rise in 2 to 3 stages. So the first stage is in this one ball form. I'm just going to pull this to the side, bring my bowl in, add a little grease just to prevent any sticking, using the top side to spread it around and then flipping them over. I'm just going to cover this. You could use a warm cloth, you could use cling, you could use foil, and I'm going to let this rise until double in size, which usually takes about an hour and a half. I find the best place to place this would be in your microwave. It's at like a ambient temperature. It allows it to really proof a lot more gentler and a lot more evenly. Once that has double in size, then we're going to punch it down and break it into our individual hops balls or hops lawyers, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to let it rise for a second time. All right, so as you can see here, our hops dough has more than double in size. So what we're going to do now is we're going to punch him down and divide him into 12 even, or as best as possible, even individual hops. So I'm going to just, to my cuff, I'll just release some of the gas, loosen them up from the bowl, transfer them onto our counter. I'm going to divide them in half first. Then into 4. What you want to do here is try your best to get them into 12 even pieces, and you're just using your hand to round or shape your ball of dough. So I'm doing here, I'm just bringing in my fingers almost like a crab and tucking in the sides of the dough until it comes in, just to help smoothen it around and shape each individual ball. Do it again, or I could do it in your hand. Same technique. Yeah, or you could do it upside down. Some persons tend to do it like this, where they bring it into the middle, and then at the very end you just flip it, round it, and you put it on your baking sheet. Yeah, so we're just going to repeat this process. All right, so here we have our 12 hops. We have one little small one, but that's all right. So what we're going to do now, here I have a damp cloth that I dampened with warm water. I'm just going to cover our hops bread, and I'm gonna return it back to the microwave and allow this to proof until it has reached baking size. That should take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. Right, so it's been about 2 hours, and here you can see our hops bread has risen. So what we're gonna do now, our oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. In the middle of the oven, right below the oven, there's a tray with hot water, which creates a steam bath. And then in addition to that, to give the hops bread its classic eggshell crust on the outside, I'm gonna use my spray bottle, same bottle I was using earlier, to just spray the top. And quickly shut the door. And allow this to bake for 20 minutes. All right, so we are at the halfway point with the hops bread here. So you can see the color starting to develop. So what I want to do now, rotate, spray, and leave it to finish cook. All right, so 20 minutes has passed. So we're gonna let these bad boys cool. All right, time to dig into our hops. Hearing that, time to cut open. So traditionally it should be hard on the outside and nice and soft on the inside. Yeah, and a classic Christmas breakfast is ham and chow chow. So you see, there you go. Now you can make your hops bread right at home for Christmas.